It was a chilly autumn evening when Amelia Harper first noticed the envelope lying on her doormat. Its paper was thick, cream-colored, and felt unusually heavy in her hand. There was no stamp, no return address, just her name, written in a neat, unfamiliar hand. She hesitated. Who could have left it there? She lived alone in her modest townhouse, a place she had carefully separated from the noisy chaos of the city and her complicated social life. Yet the envelope beckoned, promising something she could not yet comprehend. Amelia's days had been a balancing act for months, managing her career as an investigative journalist, keeping peace with her closest friends, and hiding the ache left by recent betrayals. Curiosity, or perhaps something deeper, pushed her inside. She broke the seal cautiously and unfolded the letter inside. Dear Miss Harper, you do not know me, but I have been watching. Your integrity, your courage, and your unyielding pursuit of truth have not gone unnoticed. There are forces at play that threaten more than just your career. They endanger those you hold dear. Trust no one. Accept this, follow the clues. They will lead you to answers, and to the person who wants to help you. Your mysterious benefactor. A shiver ran down Amelia's spine. The note felt like the opening chapter of a novel she never wanted to star in, but now found herself powerless to close. The letter contained a single black and white photo tucked beneath it. It depicted a weathered leather-bound book lying open on a desk, pages marked with strange symbols Amelia recognized from her university days studying cryptography. At the bottom corner, faded but visible, was the inscription, "Look beneath the floorboards." Amelia's heart jumped. The townhouse wasn't large, but a small study with creaky wooden floors had always seemed a haven amid her busy life. She navigated anxiously to the exact spot, the study's one rug covering slats of old wood. After a few firm presses and several tense seconds, one plank lifted with a reluctant creak, revealing a small hollow beneath. Inside, wrapped carefully in cloth, was an old diary, its leather cover cracked and finger-marked. She flipped it open to the first page, where a name was scribbled elegantly, Margaret Langston. Amelia's heart raced. Margaret Langston was the eccentric philanthropist and former socialite who had mysteriously died decades ago. Rumors had surrounded her death, whispers of lost fortunes and dangerous secrets. Her fingers trembled as she turned page after page, revealing detailed accounts of people's lives, names matching friends, colleagues, even her own family. Secrets, betrayals, alliances, and someone named simply the Shadow, who had been pulling strings in the background for years. Over the following days, Amelia pored over the diary, cross-referencing each name and event with news archives, social media posts, and personal memories. The connections were chilling. The people closest to her were not who they seemed. Among her friends, Julia, her oldest and most trusted companion, appeared repeatedly, but in entries that suggested a darker side. There were mentions of money dealings, manipulations, and coded warnings that could only have been meant for one person, Amelia herself. Her phone buzzed late one night with a new message from an unknown number. They watch you. They listen. Trust no one. Meet me where it started. Amelia knew immediately. The place where it started was the old Langston mansion, now abandoned and decayed, standing on the edge of town. It had been the setting of many childhood summer tales, but none so real, at least until now. As twilight descended, Amelia found herself walking the cracked path to the mansion. The moon cast eerie shadows as she pushed open the heavy front door, the hinges groaning. Inside, the air was thick with dust and memories. She cautiously explored, her pulse racing with every creak and whisper of the wind. Toward the back of the mansion, a faint light flickered. She followed it, entering a study perfectly preserved despite years of neglect. There, sitting in the dim glow of a desk lamp, was a figure cloaked in shadow. The face was obscured, but the posture was familiar. Amelia, the voice said softly. I knew you'd come. The figure stepped forward, revealing Julia's face. Her expression was both resigned and resolute. Why? Amelia asked, struggling to contain the torrent of emotions. Why betray me? Why all these secrets? Julia sighed. It wasn't supposed to be this way. The more I learned, the more dangerous it became. That benefactor you're chasing, they're not what you think. They've been using us all. The two women spent hours unraveling the tangled web of deceit, betrayal, and hidden motives. Julia confessed to working reluctantly under the pressure of threats but revealed crucial evidence, a data drive hidden in the mansion that contained documents exposing a corrupt network reaching into the highest levels of power in the city. Together, they retrieved the drive and escaped the mansion, their fragile alliance forged in fire. Amelia faced intense decisions on how to expose the truth without endangering the lives of those she cared about. The mysterious benefactor. Someone she never suspected, a shadow pulling strings to protect the city, but at a cost. Trust shattered, alliances shifted, but Amelia resolved to confront the darkness, carrying strength from the betrayal and the hope of justice. The story of the mysterious benefactor was only the beginning. Amelia sat in her study, the dim light of her desk lamp casting long shadows across the room. The envelope lay open before her, the letter still fresh in her mind. She could hardly believe what she had read. The words echoed in her thoughts, a haunting reminder of the dangers lurking just beyond her perception. She picked up the photograph again, studying the book in the image. It was a rare edition of The Art of War, a text she had often referenced in her articles about strategy and power dynamics. The symbols on the pages were cryptic, but they stirred something deep within her, a memory of a lecture from her university days, where she had first learned to decode such messages. Amelia's heart raced as she recalled the professor's words. Knowledge is power, but it can also be a weapon. She felt a chill run down her spine. What if this benefactor was right? What if there were forces at play that she had yet to uncover? Determined to follow the clue, she grabbed her laptop and began researching Margaret Langston. The internet was filled with articles about the enigmatic woman who had once been a prominent figure in society. Photos of lavish parties, charity events, and her eventual downfall filled the screen. But Amelia was searching for something deeper, something that would connect Margaret to the present. As she delved into the archives, she stumbled upon a forgotten article about a charity gala hosted by Margaret. The event had raised funds for various causes, but it was the guest list that caught Amelia's attention. Several names stood out, including prominent politicians and business leaders, many of whom were still influential today. Interesting, Amelia muttered to herself, jotting down notes. What were you really up to, Margaret? The next day, Amelia returned to her townhouse, her mind racing with possibilities. She had spent hours at the library, poring over old newspapers and articles, piecing together the puzzle of Margaret Langston's life. The more she learned, the more questions she had. That evening, she returned to the diary she had found beneath the floorboards. The leather cover felt warm in her hands, as if it held the secrets of the past. She flipped through the pages, her eyes scanning the elegant handwriting. The entries were dated, chronicling Margaret's life from her youth to her final days. Amelia was struck by the stark contrast between the glamorous life Margaret had led and the loneliness that seeped through the words. There were mentions of friends who had betrayed her, lovers who had left, and a growing paranoia that someone was always watching. One entry caught her attention: I fear the shadows are closing in. I have made enemies, and they are powerful. I must protect what I hold dear, even if it means playing a dangerous game. Amelia's heart raced. Was this the same game she was now embroiled in? She felt a connection to Margaret, a kindred spirit navigating a world filled with deceit and betrayal. As she continued reading, she discovered a series of names mentioned alongside cryptic notes. Some were familiar, but others were not. Each entry seemed to hint at a larger conspiracy, a network of individuals who had once been close to Margaret but had turned against her. Amelia's fingers trembled as she turned to the last few pages. The handwriting became more erratic, filled with frantic scrawls and drawings of symbols that resembled those in the photograph. It was as if Margaret had been trying to decode something important, something that had eluded her grasp. Days turned into weeks as Amelia immersed herself in the world of Margaret Langston. She began to connect the dots between the diary entries and her own life. The names of Margaret's acquaintances began to surface in her own circle, and the realization sent chills down her spine. Julia, her closest friend, appeared frequently in the diary. At first, the entries were benign, mentioning Julia's support during difficult times. But as Amelia read on, the tone shifted. There were references to Julia's involvement in questionable dealings, whispers of money changing hands, and hints of betrayal. Amelia's heart sank. How could Julia, the person she trusted most, be entangled in such a web? She felt a mix of anger and betrayal, but also a sense of urgency. If Julia was involved, then she needed to confront her before it was too late. One evening, Amelia decided to confront Julia. They met at their favorite cafe, a cozy spot filled with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and the sound of soft jazz. As they settled into their usual booth, Amelia's heart raced. She had rehearsed what she wanted to say, but the words felt heavy on her tongue. Julia, I've been doing some research, Amelia began, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. About Margaret Langston. Julia's expression shifted, a flicker of something, fear, guilt, crossing her face. What about her? I found her diary, Amelia continued, watching Julia closely. There are things in there that concern me. Things about you. Julia's eyes widened, and for a moment, Amelia thought she saw a flash of panic. What do you mean? Margaret wrote about her friends, her enemies. You're mentioned more than once, and not in a good light, Amelia pressed, leaning forward. What's going on, Julia? Julia hesitated, her gaze dropping to the table. Amelia, I can explain. As Julia began to speak, Amelia felt a knot tighten in her stomach. The cafe buzzed around them, but all she could focus on was Julia's face, the way her hands trembled slightly as she fidgeted with her coffee cup. I got involved with some people, Julia admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. At first, it was just to help with fundraising for the charity. But then, things got complicated. Complicated how? Amelia pressed, her heart racing. What are you hiding? Julia took a deep breath, her eyes darting around the cafe as if she feared being overheard. There are powerful people involved, Amelia. People who don't take kindly to questions. I thought I could handle it, but I was wrong. Amelia's mind raced. What do you mean? Are you in danger? I don't know, Julia replied, her voice trembling. But I've received threats. They know I've been asking questions about Margaret, and they don't want anyone digging into the past. Amelia felt a chill run down her spine. The mysterious benefactor's warning echoed in her mind, trust no one. She had trusted Julia, but now she felt the ground shifting beneath her. Why didn't you tell me? Amelia asked, hurt and confusion mingling in her voice. I didn't want to drag you into this, Julia said, her eyes pleading. I thought I could handle it on my own. But now, I'm scared, Amelia. I don't know who to trust. Amelia's heart ached for her friend, but she also felt a surge of determination. We need to figure this out together. If there's a conspiracy, we can't face it alone. As they left the cafe, Amelia's mind raced with possibilities. They needed to gather evidence, to uncover the truth behind Margaret's life and the people who had betrayed her. But as they walked through the dimly lit streets, a sense of unease settled over them. The following days were a blur of research and late-night discussions. Amelia and Julia worked tirelessly, piecing together the fragments of Margaret's life and the connections to their own. They discovered that several individuals mentioned in the diary were still active in the community, holding positions of power and influence. One name stood out, Victor Caldwell, a wealthy businessman with a reputation for ruthlessness. He had been a close associate of Margaret's and was rumored to have been involved in her downfall. Amelia felt a growing sense of dread as she realized that confronting him could be dangerous. Are you sure we should go through with this? Julia asked one evening as they sat in Amelia's study, surrounded by stacks of papers and open laptops. What if he finds out we're looking into him? We have to, Amelia replied, her voice firm. If we don't expose him, we'll never uncover the truth. We can't let fear control us. With a plan in place, they decided to attend a charity gala hosted by Victor. It was the perfect opportunity to gather information and perhaps even confront him directly. As the night approached, Amelia felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. She had always been drawn to the thrill of investigation, but this felt different, more personal, more dangerous. The night of the gala arrived, and Amelia donned a sleek black dress that made her feel both confident and vulnerable. Julia looked stunning in a deep red gown, her hair elegantly styled. They arrived at the venue, a lavish hotel adorned with twinkling lights and the sound of laughter echoing through the halls. As they mingled with the guests, Amelia's heart raced. She scanned the crowd, searching for Victor. When she finally spotted him, he was surrounded by admirers, his charm and charisma evident. But there was something unsettling about him, a predatory glint in his eyes that made her skin crawl. Let's get closer, Amelia whispered to Julia, determination fueling her steps. They navigated through the crowd, inching closer to Victor. Amelia Harper, he said, his voice smooth as silk when he finally noticed her. What a pleasure to see you here. I didn't expect a journalist to grace us with her presence. Victor, Amelia replied, forcing a smile. I've been doing some research on Margaret Langston. I'd love to hear your thoughts on her legacy. His expression shifted, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face. Margaret was a complicated woman. She had her demons, just like everyone else. Is that why she fell from grace? Amelia pressed, her heart pounding. What really happened to her? Victor's smile faded, replaced by a cold stare. Some things are better left buried, Miss Harper. You should be careful about digging too deep. Amelia felt a chill run down her spine. His words were a warning, but she refused to back down. I'm not afraid of the truth, Victor. I believe it's time for the past to be uncovered. As the evening progressed, Amelia and Julia continued to gather information, discreetly speaking to other guests and observing Victor's interactions. The atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter and clinking glasses, but beneath the surface, Amelia sensed a tension that made her uneasy. Suddenly, a commotion erupted near the entrance. A group of men in suits entered, their presence commanding attention. Amelia recognized one of them as a local politician known for his controversial dealings. The mood shifted, and whispers filled the air. Who are they? Julia asked, her eyes wide with concern. I don't know, but we should find out, Amelia replied, her instincts kicking in. They moved closer, straining to hear snippets of conversation. As they eavesdropped, Amelia caught fragments of a discussion about cleaning up loose ends and ensuring no one gets in the way. Her heart raced. Were they talking about her? About Julia? Let's get out of here, Julia urged, her voice trembling. This feels dangerous. Amelia hesitated, torn between the thrill of discovery and the instinct to flee. But she couldn't walk away now, not when they were so close to uncovering the truth. Just a little longer, she insisted, her determination unwavering. We need to know what they are planning. As the men continued their conversation, Amelia's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, her heart sinking as she read the message. They are on to you. Get out now. Panic surged through her. We need to leave. Now. They quickly made their way to the exit, but as they approached the door, they were intercepted by one of the men from the group. He blocked their path, a smirk playing on his lips. Leaving so soon? He asked, his tone mocking. I thought you were here to uncover the truth. Amelia's heart raced as she tried to maintain her composure. We were just leaving. No need for any trouble. Trouble, he echoed, stepping closer. You have no idea what trouble is, do you? Before Amelia could respond, Julia grabbed her arm, pulling her away. Let's go. They pushed past the man and rushed into the night, adrenaline coursing through their veins. As they reached the parking lot, Amelia glanced back, her heart pounding. She felt the weight of unseen eyes watching them, a sense of danger lurking just beyond the shadows. Once safely in the car, Amelia and Julia exchanged frantic glances. What just happened? Julia gasped, her hands shaking. I don't know, but we need to figure out what they're planning, Amelia replied, her mind racing. We can't let them intimidate us. As they drove through the darkened streets, Amelia's thoughts turned to the diary and the connections they had uncovered. They needed to confront Victor and the others, but they also needed a plan. Let's go back to the mansion, Amelia suggested. There might be more clues hidden there. Julia hesitated, fear flickering in her eyes. Are you sure? What if they're watching us? We can't let fear control us, Amelia insisted. We need to take action. They arrived at the Langston mansion, the moon casting an eerie glow over the decaying structure. As they stepped inside, the air felt heavy with secrets, and Amelia's heart raced with anticipation. Where do we start? Julia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Let's check the study again, Amelia replied, leading the way. They navigated through the dimly lit rooms, the floorboards creaking beneath their feet. In the study, Amelia felt a sense of urgency. She rifled through the papers scattered across the desk, searching for anything that might provide insight into Margaret's life and the people who had betrayed her. Suddenly, Julia gasped. Amelia, look at this. Amelia turned to see Julia holding a small, ornate box. It was intricately carved, and the lid was slightly ajar. What is it? I don't know, but it looks important, Julia replied, her eyes wide with curiosity. Amelia approached, her heart racing as she opened the box. Inside, she found a collection of letters, each one addressed to Margaret. The handwriting was elegant, but the content was troubling. Dear Margaret, one letter began. I know what you're planning, and I urge you to reconsider. There are forces at play that you cannot comprehend. Your safety is at stake. Amelia's breath caught in her throat. This is it. This is what we need. As they continued to read through the letters, they uncovered a web of deceit that connected Margaret to Victor and the others. The letters hinted at a conspiracy to silence her, to keep her from revealing the truth about their dealings. This is bigger than we thought, Julia said, her voice trembling. We need to take this to the authorities. Amelia nodded, but a sense of dread settled over her. What if they find out we have this? We can't let fear stop us, Julia insisted. We have to act. With the letters in hand, Amelia and Julia devised a plan to confront Victor and the others. They knew they had to be careful, but they also understood the urgency of their situation. The truth needed to be exposed, and they were determined to see it through. The following day, they arranged a meeting with a trusted contact in the local news station. Amelia had worked with him in the past, and she knew he would take their findings seriously. As they sat in his office, the weight of the letters felt heavy in Amelia's bag. Are you sure about this? He asked, his brow furrowed with concern. These are powerful people you're dealing with. We have to do it, Amelia replied, her voice steady. If we don't expose them, they'll continue to operate in the shadows. After reviewing the letters and the connections they had uncovered, their contact agreed to help. He promised to investigate further and to keep their identities confidential. Amelia felt a surge of hope, but it was quickly overshadowed by the fear of retaliation. As they left the station, Amelia's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. You've gone too far. You have until midnight to drop this or face the consequences. Panic surged through her. Julia, we need to go. Now. They rushed back to Amelia's townhouse, locking the doors behind them. The weight of the threat hung over them like a dark cloud, but they refused to back down. They had come too far to turn back now. As the clock ticked closer to midnight, Amelia and Julia gathered their evidence, preparing to send it to their contact. But just as they were about to hit send, a loud bang echoed from outside. What was that? Julia gasped, her eyes wide with fear. Amelia's heart raced as she peered out the window. A black SUV was parked across the street, its headlights illuminating the darkness. She could see figures moving inside, and a sense of dread washed over her. We need to get out of here, Amelia said, her voice urgent. They are coming for us. They quickly grabbed their things and slipped out the back door, making their way through the alley behind the townhouse. The night air was cold against their skin, but adrenaline fueled their escape. As they ran, Amelia's mind raced with thoughts of the letters and the conspiracy they had uncovered. They couldn't let Victor and the others silence them. They had to find a way to expose the truth, no matter the cost. After a harrowing escape, Amelia and Julia found refuge in a nearby hotel. They checked in under false names, their hearts pounding as they settled into the room. The weight of their situation pressed heavily on them, but they knew they had to stay strong. We need to come up with a plan, Amelia said, pacing the small room. We can't just hide forever. Julia nodded, her expression serious. We need to get the evidence to the public. If we can't go to the authorities, we have to find another way. Amelia's mind raced as she considered their options. What if we leak the information online? We can create an anonymous account and share everything we have. It's risky, Julia replied, her brow furrowed. But it might be our only option. As they discussed their plan, Amelia